We've got this from CBS News. U.S. completes first sale of Venezuelan oil. Amazing. Valued at $500 million, official says. The details of the sale haven't yet been disclosed, but Trump has said the U.S. will sell 30 to 50 million barrels of Venezuelan oil in partnership with U.S. companies. Now, let's just pause real quick, because I've had a bunch of progressive friends I've known for a long time, and they're like, the U.S. hands off Venezuela. Okay, well, let's go back in time to 2007, when Venezuela elected a socialist who then seized U.S. oil assets, stealing billions of dollars. How about Venezuela hands off our oil investments? By all means, you want to be a climate change person and say oil's bad? Fine, separate argument. Our investment, our partnerships seized from our backyard, out of our pockets, and then weaponized to help fund our adversaries. Let me give you the numbers. Total USD loss from Venezuela's nationalization or expropriation of U.S. oil in 2007 under Hugo Chavez. ExxonMobil claimed $10 to $16.6 billion. ICSID, $1.6 billion. You've got recent claims of between $1 and $2 billion. ConocoPhillips, $4.5 billion, with $20 to $30 billion in after-the-fact claims, meaning money that would have been generated from the investments. ICSID awarded $8.7 billion. The total overall U.S. loss is estimated between $10 and some $20 billion. So let me just make it very, very simple. I don't want war with Venezuela. I don't want war anywhere. What do we do as a country when a leader comes in and says, hey, you know how we had a deal with you? We had a treaty and we had a deal. You guys come in, you spend all the money building the drills, building the refineries. You guys get the profits, but we get kicked back a little bit. Yeah, that's a fine deal. They then stole all of our oil assets that we paid for and built. Why should we have ever tolerated that? Now, again, real quick, I'm not saying we should have invaded. I'm glad we didn't. But Trump removing Maduro and taking $500 million doesn't begin to remedy the theft and the betrayal that we experienced. To make it worse, we endured 20 years where, again, I think the reason largely is another reason why I think Iraq and Afghanistan was stupid is that we were spending billions in Afghanistan. Meanwhile, Venezuela in our backyard was running roughshod over us and stole our stuff. Trump, I believe, has been doing things masterfully. Again, I'm concerned about destabilization in Venezuela. I lean slightly against the removal of Maduro because, to be fair, I think we are a traumatized generation, and I don't look at our government as successful in the last 50 years when it comes to these things. But that being said, Trump's precision strikes on Iran to take out their nuclear capabilities did not result in an expanded conflict. So all I can really say is I'm happy that's what happened. I still don't know if it was the right move, but I don't have access to classified information. And the snatch and grab of Maduro so far seems to have been okay.
Yeah.
I hope we don't destabilize, and I just want to at least be a voice of tepid reason against people saying go in, invade, and all of these things.
Who's saying invade? Because I think
okay, well, hold on.
Except for Lindsey Graham, who's saying invade. Except for that.
This is the point. John Bolton, acolytes, Elad, Eliyahu. Come on.
Okay, but who's listening to those people? I feel
people
like
who watch the show listen to a lot. They don't like him though.
I don't think they do listen.
It's a hate. Tell me someone who isn't hate listening to them, because I feel people need to understand, especially on the right, where everyone's acting as if a tactical operation is the same as a forever war, and it's not.
Yeah.
Having energy and having a petrodollar are legitimate interests for the United States. If you want, like you were saying, your affordable lifestyle and low inflation, we need to have control. We need the petrodollar strong, and we need control of energy, and we need to destabilize it and take it away from China and Russia. And that is exactly what we're doing with Venezuela and Iran.
I think the important lesson a lot of people in the more moderate space need to learn, again, I want to stress this. I'm not advocating for invasion or war conflict. The important thing you need to understand is this. Look at what the Democrats did to Donald Trump, his lawyers, conservative personalities, J6ers. The unrepentant use of illegitimate force against innocent people for the sheer exertion of power. Democrats and the woke machine said, we will destroy you because we can. China is worse. In the event the U.S. falters and we do experience the expansion of a multipolar world, we're going to get a Thucydides trap war. Mm-hmm. We are not going to just let China's Belt and Road Initiative take over, and that's what's been happening. I think Trump's view of this has been, I really do look at the Democratic Party as like the weak, pathetic great-grandchildren of the greatest generation or the grandchildren of. They don't know how to maintain a business. It's a third-generation failure. Trump comes in and says, you've given away our manufacturing. Our borders are collapsed. Our people aren't having babies anymore. What is the point of your endless quagmires in Afghanistan and Iraq if we are not sustaining the American people, its tradition, its dreams, and its worldview internationally and nationally? Trump now, in my opinion, is also seeking to reinforce American hegemonic power. And I think he's doing it so far. I give him a C+. C+ in that I've never been a fan of the U.S. forcing other countries to do whatever it wants. But if Trump is doing it in a limited fashion with sanctions, and so far what we've seen with Iran and Venezuela, very, very light, what I can only say is, okay, it's better than I've seen in my life. And I pray we don't get destabilization. And at the end of this, I recognize China, Russia, and Iran would burn us to the ground if they had the ability to do it at any moment.
And Tim, you got to risk it for the biscuit, you know? Like, we're risking destabilization for the idea that we can remain the world's fucking superpower, right? That's the point.
Well, I don't think Iran's like an actual formidable threat against American hegemony.
No. But you're missing. It's not even about politics. It's not about the humanitarian aspect of it. It's about the economics of it. We need the oil. We need the petrodollar. That's all it is. And we need the energy. And we need China and Russia to not have access to that energy, because right now we're a hair away from the petrodollar being decimated.
Right, I'm just
saying.
Yeah, the Saudis are like, we're going to sit back and see who wins.
That's exactly what they're doing right now, right?
The Venezuelan calculation, it's, okay, yes, you take away 50% of our global adversaries' oil supply, you release 20% of the world's oil reserves into the market. It's going to tank the price of Iranian oil, Russian energy, these sorts of things. But then also there's a geopolitical calculation, which is Venezuela's in our hemisphere, they're on our back porch. Taking them out, there's obvious incentives for the United States in a variety of reasons. Where Iran is, I agree, there is interest for the U.S., but the interesting thing about Iran is it's more dangerous because there's converging interests in Iran. So that's why it's like Venezuela is kind of a no-brainer in a lot of ways if you truly like apply the Trump doctrine. But Iran is just a much tougher decision to make. That's why there's a debate around it. Where Venezuela happens, everyone's like, yeah, that kind of checks out. Even liberals were kind of coming around on
people on the right, like Megyn Kelly was saying, I don't want my sons to go be drafted for Venezuela, which is one of the dumbest things she could have possibly said.
Yeah,
so,
literally. Yeah, no, I agree.
Not everyone's saying that. And also Iran, there has never been a more vulnerable moment to attack Iran. They have fights from within. They're economically crippled because oil is so low right now. All their friends are dead. Thank you, Israel. Okay. And this is the moment to strike them. This is it.
I would prefer the Iranian people institute their own government on their own. I think the Iranian government is...
Why don't we decide it ourselves? We're America. Why don't we get someone in there? And I'm not saying regime change. I don't want democracy. I don't want democracy for them. Put someone in there who... That is pro-West,
because
pro-America.
That's what we did in 1979.
No, that's what Jimmy Carter put in an Islamist extremist. And by the way, all Islam is extreme.
This is the trauma of our generation of every failure. But let me just stress this.
Being traumatized, again, it's like you don't not date again because you had a bad relationship before. Like, you got to keep going.
This is why we're cautious.
Yeah.
But we try to be optimistic. That is, I would prefer the Iranian people take care of it themselves. I prefer sanctions.
We're doing the work. Why don't we get to decide?
And pressure campaigns.
We're doing the work. We're going in there and helping them. But why don't we get to decide? That's American supremacy.
Blowback. No, real quick. Blowback. Because we don't want destabilization in the region. Like when we tried pushing out the Soviets to the Mujahideen. My point is this. If there's no other way to do it, fine. I see your point.
Yes.
If we can offer up through sanctions and assistance in some way, the Iranian people getting their own system of governance, well, it's not about being nice and being like, we don't want to blow people up, because he certainly blew up a bunch of kids. The point is, how do we get in as smoothly as possible so that it reduces backlash, blowback, and we get our way?
But don't you think right now the people of Iran want Trump to come in and give them a better leader? That's what they're asking for.
I will say this. I don't know about the entirety of the Iranian people, but we certainly know for a fact there are massive protests, and there have been for a long time.
I think it'd be way too many cooks in the kitchen. And I think that was one of the major failures of Iraq, is that we said, let's give these people democracy, when democracy was going to lead to them, electing worse people, right?
Well, it's Dune over there, so they're not going to be here's
the problem. We went into Iraq and Afghanistan and said, let's be here for 4 generations to create a culture.
Yes.
This is what we've done in Japan and South Korea. And it's creepy that South Koreans all basically shave the flesh off their faces to look like white people. I'm saying this as a Korean. I think it's
base.
weird.
But it's great.
kind of
It's great
basic,
skincare, and everyone should do it.
And in Japan as well, they're effectively, or were for a long time, like a vassal after we conquered them and occupied them after World War II. And that's fine. I get it. World War II was a whole thing, right? And so we go to these countries, and it's not. And Korea, of course, wasn't World War II. It was the Cold War. Afghanistan wasn't. Afghanistan was like some Greatest Generation dude's kid being like, I want to go in and do the same thing Dad did. It's like, you don't know how to do it, and they didn't. And the idea that we would occupy Afghanistan for 3 generations to create a functioning society was insane. Okay, it works in countries where you already had functioning societies that were socially and culturally and technologically developed. It doesn't make sense to go into a country of goat herders and then. Have you seen the video of when the U.S. tried to teach them how to do jumping jacks?
Comedy gold.
A horror. It's not. It's horror.
Iran.
I'm gonna pull this up. I'm gonna pull so people can watch.
Yeah, Iran has the
hilarious.
structure to withhold a republic. So if Pahlavi, he's the son of the last king of Iran, they would install him as maybe the first president, and they could write a republican constitution based on the U.S. Constitution.
They don't like their entire ideological framework is still Islamic based, so it'd be really tough to sort of sell democracy.
A secular government.
Look at this. This was Iraq and Afghanistan.
Oh my God.
So these aren't actually called jumping jacks; they're called something else. But we call them.
Side straddle hops.
Is that what they're called?
The
Oh
Marine
my
Corps,
God,
that's
look at
what
this
they're
guy.
called.
Look at these guys.
That
We were
dude's-
like,
Do you think
I
it's
know.
because their parents are first cousins? They
Bro,
don't know
sometimes.
how to...
Yes.
that dude is in the body
Yes,
Shmurda.
that is
Yeah.
this is a fact that is not meant to be derisive. It is an academic fact that there is massive cousin marriage in the Middle East that does lower IQ and increase aggression.
Not just the Middle East, and it's the UK now, right? You know about this. That like
Well.
they're crazy rate. I mean, you're smiling. You have
well,
a
'cause
little.
he said it's
Tim
not
has
the
a
Middle
twinkle
East.
in his eye.
You said it's not the Middle East, and I said, well.
No, it's the Middle East in the UK.
The Middle
because
East is an idea.
No, I think.
It's
of
not
what?
a location.
No, when Trump brings the Muslim ban back, it's going to be like London, Montreal,
Yeah,
Detroit. You know,
the Middle East.
Yeah, the Middle East, the actual,
Bro.
the new Middle East.
It's amazing to me that you can go to a human being and be like, you're going to jump and your arms go up and your legs go out. And they're like, what?
We did this in pre-K.
You guys are right about goat herders. Goat herders couldn't handle a republic. The Iranians can handle a republic. They're supposed to have a republic.
Indeed. Iranians are not they're Persian.
Persian, yeah.
And they actually have had a strong republic for well, not
It was a
they had a strong
monarchy,
government
yeah.
and culturally developed for some time. The people there are protesting. This is the important thing people need to understand about Iran. It is not a desert nation of goat herders. It is an advanced mountainous region, developed, technologically developed, and they've got amazing military capabilities.
Well, there's a reason why the Persian community in America is so successful. That's what they're coming
course.
from.
Oh, that's where the civilization reformed after the flood 13,000
You saw the
years
photos
ago.
of before the
That's
Islamic
DNA on
Revolution?
Earth.
Yeah, of course.
And it looks amazing.
I mean,
and
I know
wish
so
could-
many people that escaped from that time. Like,
You
I
know,
know from the 70s.
it does piss me off to a great degree that there are parts of the world we can't go. And I mean that. The idea of being able to travel, learn, and see everything, I think it's an important human experience. And I want to go to Antarctica and go beyond the ice wall.
So true.
Do you think they're going to have a Buc-ee's in Tehran when we liberate them? Do you think that's going to happen?
I
Wawa.
I hope
don't do not want that. I hate
They'll understand
global
freedom.
homogenization.
Oh, they'll understand America.
No, I can't stand more than anything. I can't stand going to a foreign country
Seeing
and
a
then
Starbucks.
no, yeah, Starbucks,
Seeing a
Gucci,
Starbucks,
Hard
yeah.
Rock,
Yeah.
all
Going
sorts
to
of
a foreign country and going to the McDonald's and everything's prepared properly.
Yeah.
No, their McDonald's
get what you
workers
order.
speak better English than ours.
Yeah,
Not
right.
That's
beeping
usually
for
what
some reason,
If
like
they-
a bomb's
The
about to
ice
go
cream
off.
machine
Yeah.
works.
But that's,
Yeah.
that's what you were saying in Venezuela. It's about a 100-year oil contract through corporations that are homogenizing. It would be the same in Iran, more homogeny for American supremacy. I mean,
Well, this is
it's
the thing.
annoying, but it's better than fucking throwing rocks at
this
each
is the
other.
issue is that
I'm saying no. I don't want to see Iran turn into a cookie cutter carbon copy of the United States or Times Square. That's not to say that the people of Iran shouldn't have functioning democratic institutions. Republican.
I didn't even say democratic.
Well, I'm
just
saying democratic-
functioning institutions.
Agreed.
Yeah.
They could have a military dictatorship so long as the people's rights are respected.
Well,
and
look
the
at
country's
Singapore. It's a benevolent dictatorship, right? There are different
So they
countries.
say.
So they say, yeah.
No, I mean, like, is it really a dictatorship if you're rich? Like,
That's a good
people live very
question.
comfortably there. I've been to Singapore, and you call it a dictatorship, but I was never impeded in any way from anything.
Well, that's why it's a benevolent dictatorship. That's just
Sure.
my point, which is
Functioning
we're not saying
dictatorship.
we're not saying let's go and make
Serge is
these
just
women
off
girl
camera
bosses
going,
like
"It's
Afghanistan
dope."
and give them democracy and let's just not have a radical Islamist who threatens to choke off the Strait of Hormuz for trade and threatens to send oil to Russia and China in won and rubles instead of U.S. dollars.
Who doesn't
That's what
support
we
the
want.
Houthis? Who
Who
doesn't support
the
Hamas?
Houthis?
Doesn't
Yeah.
support
Can you grant
Hezbollah.
there's a distinction between the risk level with operations in Venezuela versus Iran? Because I mean,
Why does that matter?
Because when you're talking about like potentially kicking off global conflict, I mean, I think it's a relevant question.
Do you really think that there's like legitimate global? Because I mean, like we were talking about earlier, like I don't think that Russia or China would actually do serious support.
It depends on how well the operation goes, and that's the
Okay,
question mark.
how about this?
No, I don't
What's
think
the
that
risk?
Russia can do anything.
What's the risk if we don't? Because everyone loves talking about this risk if we do. But what about the risk if we don't? It's no petrodollar. It's our enemies having access to the energy, to the oil choke point of the world.
It's your children learning Mandarin in 30 years.
It's your children learning Mandarin.
So what's gonna happen?
That's the risk.
But we've already like kind of what we've realized over the last year is that a lot of our global adversaries are paper tigers in a lot of ways, and so it just doesn't seem like conducive.
So then that's actually against what you just said. Then it should be very easy to take
disagree.
them out.
No, well, I'm just saying as far as like it doesn't require immense like geopolitical plays right now.
We can't sustain, like, we overproduce our military. And there was a post I saw on X where they were like, who was it? Some guy said, subsidies for Israel are actually subsidies for the U.S. the military industrial. It was a progressive who said this. It's us funding the military industrial complex through Israel, where we can claim it's for foreign aid, but we're actually buying and building bombs. Yeah, how do we do that? How do we sustain our economy? Through the petrodollar. We don't need to produce widgets and sell them. The way it works for everybody else, they have to export more. Like any job you have to make more money than you're spending, right? Like you American people. Think about this. Imagine you didn't have to actually have a job because in order for anybody to make money, they had to ask your permission first. That's what the American system around the world is. And so why do we have these ships, these bombs, military power? China, Russia, Iran, South Africa, many other nations that are opting to join the BRICS alliance. This was the collapse of American supremacy.
Yes.
Now, I'm not saying it's a good thing that the U.S. does, blows up kids like Obama was doing, or killing Abdul Rahman al-Awlaki or anything like that. I do think it will be miserably bad if China becomes the unipolar power. As bad as you think the United States is, it is infinitely better than every other
Someone
alternative.
gives you a paper tiger.
Well, I just
great
don't-
philosophy.
I
It's
think-
true.
well,
Look at the
I-
way Iran's about to fall on its own.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's
And
like
then it's also less of a risk
okay.
than you're claiming.
well, no,
right?
I'm only interrupting you to glow you, bro.
my
because
point with
you're hot.
Iran is that the risk of it being a quagmire is higher. Not necessarily that we wouldn't be like successful in an operation there, but the risk of it just being an in and out like Venezuela is much higher. Again, that's why I led the show with like I do have faith in Trump and Hex have to make this calculation. But the point of them being a paper tiger is it was like common thought for the longest time that we were heading towards a multipolar world, especially after Afghanistan. I mean, I was saying this, but we're seeing increasing there's indicators coming from China and Russia that things aren't so hot. I mean, obviously Russia, we're not seeing much success from them on the battlefield. So my point is, America, I don't think our position as a unipolar power is really being threatened too much. And as long as we can dominate our hemisphere, I think that's like pretty satisfactory.
But it is. I
It
mean,
is,
for
yeah.
the past 15 plus years, article after article after article has been written about how China is on pace to dominate the global economy
And then now
and
in the
displace us.
last, and then in the last 3 years, it's article after article saying like, I don't even know if their population is what they're saying it is. And then
After COVID.
right, and I'm
Yeah.
saying so.
Oh, what a
COVID
dream idea.
detrimented.
I hope that's true.
COVID detrimented China.
Decimated
China.
Which means to remove by
Right,
to
and then
reduce by
also-
10%.
It did both, yeah.
And then also with the
Detrimented them as well.
second Trump admin, he's basically just trying to correct because Biden fumbled the situation. As Biden was inheriting like basically our global adversaries fumbling the ball, and Biden also fumbled. Where now Trump comes in, he's mopping up these messes. We're in a very good position right now.
Somebody, before we go to the next story, somebody commented that in 2007, this is, what is it? I'm going to read your name. Botch Vinick. In 2007, Venezuela got sick of U.S. oil companies ripping them off. I hate communists.
Oh yeah, that's
I hate communists. It's like
Third world.
there's some dude, because like I run a business, right? And I've worked with a bunch of contractors and a bunch of companies, and I've been a manager at other companies. And I tell you, I have met so many communists where it's like, I just deserve your stuff. And I'm like, dude, okay, you're allowed to have your stuff. If I say to you, hey, brother, do this thing for me, and in exchange, I'll give you X. I'll give you money. They go, theft. No, they say, okay. Then they do the job and go, I deserve more than this. I say, yo, we had an agreement.
But
If you don't like the agreement, you can leave.
But sometimes you come to town with more stuff, and they're like, hey, where'd you get all this stuff? You're like, my dad gave it to me
So
when he
what?
came here and killed your dad.
No.
And they're like, I
That's
want
not
my
what-
land back,
and that's
bro.
not
Give
what
me
we're
my
talking
dad's
about.
stuff.
And that's
well,
that doesn't
the
matter
argument
anyway.
of 100 years ago, the British came in and started taking their oil.
We're
Do you
talking
think
about
those communists
point-
ever
the
give
point
land
is-
acknowledgements to the U.S. on the oil rigs?
The point is,
No.
we built the infrastructure. We could have dealed. They could have said no. Then they go, we deserve everything you did. All your work is now ours. You ripped us off. I say no to that. Bro, I don't know what my dad did, okay? I'm me. I'm me here now. Don't take my stuff.
Yeah, not to mention Venezuela's literally well, up until recently, they were literally making claims on Guyanese territory because again they found
right.
they found
Yep.
oil reserves off of their coast.
Yep.
So it's like Venezuela's not even surprised. The left's hypocritical, I know, but it's like they're not even honoring sort of their gripe with the U.S. They're doing the same thing to Guyana because they're a minnow in the neighborhood.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.